I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. It is 1:30. We are going to jump right in to our hearing on House Bill 2033. And with that, I will turn to your friend and mine, Tamara Lawrence, for an overview.
Thank you, and good afternoon, committee. House Bill 2033 relates to approved at-risk programs. So currently, KSA 725153 provides for the at-risk education fund of each school district and the allowable expenditures from that fund. Currently, expenditures from the fund can only be made for certain purposes, including at-risk and provisional at-risk educational programs that are provided above and beyond regular educational services to students who are identified as at risk. The state board is required to identify, approve, and provide a list of at-risk educational programs for school districts to use. House Bill 2033 would include in that list of at-risk programs the programs and services provided by nonprofit organizations accredited by the International Multisensory Structured Language Education Council. You can see this change on page 2 of the bill starting in line 18. The bill would take effect on July 1 upon publication in the statute book. This bill did pass the House on a vote of 89 to 23, and I will be happy to stand for questions.
All right. Committee questions. I do think it's interesting to point out that this will be our only Q&A time because all proponents and all opponents are written only. So get your questions out now. Any questions? Fascinating. Okay. Go ahead, Senator Argabright.
So we have no one testifying. Is that what I followed?
Correct.
Typically, I'm just looking at this for the first time, that goes through the State Board of Ed because it has to meet some evidence-based criteria. Is there a reason why it's not going through that process? Or this is for at-risk funding, correct? Okay, I'm asking you probably a difficult question, and I apologize already. So, okay, I'll just end there because I'm not trying to put you in a difficult spot. Just trying to understand.
And I think the answers to those questions are probably going to be in the written testimony, which we do have from William Wilk from the Kansas Chamber and William Pickard, board member from the Phillips Fundamental Learning Center in Wichita. And we can certainly reach out to them as well. So, any other questions, committee? Very good. Seeing none. All right. That essentially, as far as opponent written testimony, we have Leah Fleiter from KASB and Tim Graham from the NEA, who I don't see either in the room. So with that, we do have their written testimony, and I'm sure they'd be willing to talk to you, any questions you have on this bill. So with that, we will close the hearing on House Bill 2033 and open the hearing on House Bill 2120. And we will once again turn to Tamara Lawrence from the Reviser's Office for an overview.
Thank you again. House Bill 2120 would authorize the State Board of Regents to convey two pieces of real estate. The first is property in Douglas County, Nebraska, and would be conveyed on behalf of Kansas State University Veterinary Medical Center. It's my understanding that this property had been used by the Veterinary Medical Center as a satellite veterinary referral clinic, but that the medical center no longer operates this clinic. The second piece of property is 6.5 acres, known as the Unger Complex in the city of Manhattan in Riley County. And this would be conveyed by the Board of Regents on behalf of Kansas State University. And just to point out to the committee, the legal description that you see on page 2 for this piece of property, it's my understanding that this might need to be amended if the committee does choose to work this bill. Currently, the property is described as one tract, but for the purposes of the sale may need to be described as 2 tracts. So I just want to point that out to the committee in case the committee does choose to work it. The Attorney General would be required to review the deeds, titles, and conveyances. Proceeds from the conveyance would be deposited in the institution's respective restricted fee funds. The bill would take effect upon publication in the Kansas Register and pass the House on a vote of 118 to 0. And I'll be happy to stand for questions.
Thank you, Tamara. Questions for the reviser on House Bill 2120? Seeing none, very good. Thank you, Tamara. All right, committee, I am going to turn to proponent testimony, and with that, I will turn to Ethan Erickson, Vice President for Administration of Finance at Kansas State University. Welcome to our committee, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate the opportunity to present our testimony on the request to sell these two parcels of land. I'll go ahead and start with the Unger property located in Riley County. So that complex is located a couple miles southwest of the main campus. It's a separate satellite property that we've had where we've primarily located office administrative spaces. The sale of that property actually accomplishes two objectives for the university. One, it eliminates, by selling the property, we eliminate $38 million of our deferred maintenance backlog that we have at the institution. Just kind of wipes it off the books. But the second piece that we're going to do is actually relocate the staff and the programs that are occurring in the Unger complex back onto the Manhattan campus, thereby increasing our space utilization of our existing facilities on our main campus. And so those are two efforts that we've been working really hard to do at the institution, along with the Board of Regents, as part of our effort to reduce our deferred maintenance backlog and increase our space utilization. The other thing that it also does is it eliminates about $500,000 in annual operating costs that we have just to have that facility operational, that we'll then be able to invest that back into the institution's maintenance areas. We have had it appraised, and the appraised value is about $3.5 million. And so as part of our board policy, we would then pursue the sale of the facility for that amount. Mr. Chair, if it's okay, I might go ahead and address what the revisor mentioned in terms of splitting the parcel. So as we've worked with our partners at the foundation as well as a developer that will renovate that facility, they've decided that they only need a portion of that property. So what we've done is develop language that sort of splits the parcel into two. The larger parcel will go with the sale of the Unger building, and then the smaller parcel will remain with the university that will then put out either to market, or there is some conversation within the city about desiring with the city to utilize part of that land to create a roundabout on Anderson Avenue. So we'll continue to explore best way to sell that remaining parcel of land. I'll go ahead and move on to the second parcel, which is property that our veterinary medical center originally purchased to operate a satellite veterinary referral clinic. That is operations no longer in existence, and so we are requesting authority to sell that property. It's located in Nebraska, and the estimated sales proceeds is about $1.1 million based on appraised value. And so we would look to put that out on the market and sell that property. With that, Mr. Chairman, I'm happy to answer any questions the committee might have.
Very good. And I understand there's an amendment, if we work this bill, that's going to be offered, that I'm being told about.
Yeah, and that's what I was kind of mentioning. It's the way the original bill was written is the Unger complex was written as the full parcel. The amendment would split that parcel into two. One piece would go with the sale of the building and the grounds, and then the other piece would go up for sale at a different time.
I'll start committee with questions. I'm curious, I don't see any of the other major universities as proponents or opponents on this bill. Do you think that's weird?
We have great relationships with the other universities, but I don't think they're interested in this one.
All right, committee questions for the conferee. Senator Sykes.
Thank you for being here. Just mostly out of curiosity, when was the land and facility in Nebraska, when was it purchased? And how long has it not been used?
Those are great questions. I don't know when it was originally purchased, but we've not operated that clinic for several years now. And so we've sold other pieces of property that were around in that area. This last one, it was in a lease agreement, and so we're entering the last years of that lease and just moving to sell it.
Committee, further questions? Senator Shane.
Forgive me if you already said this. Unger Complex, that's where the call center and everything used to operate out of, is
It
that
used
right?
to, yeah, it used to. When Foundation
Yeah, it was back.
was in
okay.
there, yep, that's where the call center was.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Senator Starnes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for being here. No questions other than to applaud the efforts to continue to help with your debt situation and say, hey, we're taking steps to ensure that we can take care of what we've got. And I applaud that because the vet medicine department has already had a tribute in the diagnostic lab and that entire program. So I give you applause for what you're doing and continue to do great things. Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Senator Gossage.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On the, and I'm not sure if maybe Jason, or you're Tamara. I sit in this same chair and have Jason sitting right there. So I look up, no. On the division of the budget report, the fiscal note, on the bottom paragraph of the first page, it says, and these funds that will be credited to agency fee funds for both institutions. Does that basically mean the money's going back to the institutions? Okay, I thought, what agency fund? Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Absolutely. Further questions from the committee? All right. Seeing none, thank you for being here. Committee, I have no neutral, no opponent testimony. Our next meeting tomorrow, we'll be here. We'll be doing House Bill 2382, establishing the daily compensation rate for members of the State Board of Ed. So that will be our agenda for tomorrow. We have completed all of our tasks for today, and thank you. We're adjourned.